Welcome to Jaunty Haunts, the podcast about all things supernatural. After 30 years of keeping a secret, I'm finally ready to share with the world that I see ghosts. Yep, I've been having conversations with the other side while trying to keep up appearances. This podcast is all about getting spooky and connecting with others who might also sense, see, or feel things beyond the ordinary. We'll swap true tales of the seen and unseen, and maybe even laugh about the weird stuff we've experienced. Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, come join me as we explore the paranormal. Let's connect, share, and maybe feel a little less crazy together. Welcome to Jaunty Haunts. 'Twas the night before Christmas, and all through the house, not a creature was stirring, not even a ghost. Welcome to a very special holiday episode of Jaunty Haunts. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and warm greetings to all our listeners. This week, we are embracing an age-old tradition in the spirit of the season, sharing ghost stories. It might surprise some, but eerie tales have long been a part of winter celebrations, harking back to nights spent gathered by the fire, swapping stories to keep the cold and darkness at bay. This episode, we honor that tradition with a collection of chilling tales and moral reflections, perfect to share as the winter solstice fades into the promise of a new year. Our stories come from all walks of life, including personal friends, family, and the incredible Brian O'Connor from the Opening Kill podcast. He'll share his own ghostly experiences this episode. He will also be returning in the new year on our Cryptids episode, so stay tuned for that. A special welcome to our international listeners from the United Kingdom, New Zealand, Australia, Bulgaria, and India. We are thrilled to have you join our community. Before we begin, I want to express heartfelt thanks to all our storytellers this episode. Sierra, Hannah, Jordan, Gentaro, Spencer, Brian, and those anonymous family friends who know who they are. Thank you for sharing and indulging me in the magic and mystery of the season. And listeners, as my extra special gift to you, this episode, I will be telling the story I call The Big Bad Boy. This is the story of the haunting that changed my life and relationship with the supernatural forever. It is what I think is my scariest story ever. I was going to wait until the season 1 finale, but I figured it would be a good contrast with the merriment of the season to hear some true and horrifying experiences now. So, buckle up. Please grab a warm drink, snuggle up, and prepare for an unforgettable journey into tales of the strange, the spooky, and the timeless. From all of us here, stay warm, stay safe, and may you spend this season surrounded by the ones you care about most. Let's dive in. Okay, so we're here. Welcome to the Christmas episode. This is going to be airing the week of Christmas. I've got a few guests here at my house celebrating in the time-old tradition, as they say in the song. There'll be scary ghost stories and tales of the glories of Christmases long, long ago. We know from things like A Christmas Carol, right? And Scrooge, or, that story that it's the ghosts of the past and the present and the future come to tell this guy, what happened, what's happening now, and what's going to happen if this, that, and that. And it's all very, my candles are popping, feels like tarot and in that world of all of that. But the spirituality around Christmas time and telling scary stories around Christmas is something that's been kind of lost to our capitalistic zoning out holiday mentalities, right? But I think is a fun tradition to bring back how we can. Jordan and I went to a party in LA a few years ago, where a friend of ours, who I mentioned on the show, is the apartment in LA where there was like a bunch of haunted oddities in the living room. And so we all sat in a circle just like this, and one by one, each person told any sort of supernatural paranormal experience they had, from I lived in a haunted house and we found dead bodies in the wall, right? To like the sleep paralysis demon and something on the chest, to like some I don't know, I just felt a breeze on my face one time. Like everything was welcome. It was just such a fun night. So that's kind of what inspired to do this evening. So anyway, without further ado, we'll tell some stories. Please welcome my holiday party guests and storytellers, Hannah, Jordan, Sierra, and Gentaro. But now I'm going to tell you the story I call The Big Bad Boy. This is the story that changed my whole outlook on ghosts and their abilities, the afterlife, and my approach to things. And I have a whole new respect for the other side after this. Let's just say I learned my lesson. So in high school, I thought it was really fun to go ghost hunting, right? Go to famously haunted locations and graveyards and all kinds of places and try to do the stereotypical, there were famous shows like Ghost Adventures, right, with Zach Baggins, and it would be like, show your fucking face, get out here, you bitch, really like going after ghosts and trying to provoke spirit. And so I think we all took that as like oh, cool, let's do that. So obviously we went about it more respectfully, but it would be like, if anyone's here, please come through, I'm gonna throw some flowers on the ground if you can levitate it. I have batteries in my hand if you want to drain them. Just doing whatever we could to try to connect with spirit. We'd get results pretty often, especially when it came to EVPs, right? Electronic voice phenomenon. And we were just using our phones. My friend Shelby, who will have her episode you guys will hear, but she actually did at one point get like a recorder similar to this, where she would record and then put it into an audio system and raise those voices. But it would be faint things, right? Little tiny sounds here and there, but nothing super duper clear. Except the ones at her house, which you'll have to hear in another episode. But so anyway, went to college, gained new friends, right? Southern Oregon. And I had this one friend I was very close with. We'll call her Kaylee. And Kaylee really wanted to see a ghost, really wanted to have an interaction, really wanted proof, wanted evidence of the paranormal. And I was like, I can get you that easily. We'll make it happen, And so we waited for the right night. We waited for a full moon, and we went down to the graveyard at the end of my block. Now, in this little Southern Oregon town, there were a lot of graveyards. It was kind of like a cool artsy thing to like sit and eat in the graveyard. Like, we're the theater kids. We eat in the graveyard, really cool like that. Anyway, so I knew there was one that always kind of gave me the heebie-jeebies compared to some of the other ones that we would go to. And it was like the least frequented. Like, there weren't a lot of people there all the time. And there were these huge, like, overhanging trees along the main pathway down. So just picture it, right? It's a full moon. We've got these big, big trees, like these kind of willowy trees swaying on this long path of just like the moon hitting the graves, like very picturesque, very beautiful. We're like, all right, we're going. And we had another friend who I was very close with at the time, who was from my hometown. We'll call him Ryan. Ryan was like big brother energy, very close. And he was very attuned to all this. And so I said, hey, Kaylee and I are going to go ghost hunting tonight. And he was like, no. And I was like, what do you mean no? And he was like, I just have a weird gut feeling. Like, don't do it tonight. Tonight's not the night. Don't do it. And I was like, shut the fuck up. Like, we're going to go, And he was like, okay, then I'm going to come with you because I want to make sure you guys are safe. I don't know what this feeling is. I just want to come, like, make sure everything's okay. So we arrive. We're walking around. Instantly, upon arrival, there's a little boy I see. Little boy spirit. And it's almost, he's like peeking around the grave and he looks sad. He looks scared. And I literally feel him full grasp my fingers like this. And I like immediately start crying. And Kaylee's like, what's happening? And I'm like, I just feel something. I said, I just feel something. I don't know. It's making me emotional. I think he was trying to find his mom or someone, but his like little cold fingers, I felt so clearly. It was like nothing I had ever physically felt with spirit before. And I was like, go up ahead. So they were like, what? I was like, just walk, and I like looked down and I was like, if you want to walk with us, that's okay. But like, you have to stay here, And like, he just looked at me like he didn't know what I was saying, but he just was holding on. So we're walking. And, we're all kind of back at the same area. And Ryan says, it's time to go. I don't feel good, you guys. Like, it's time to go. And I was like, it's fine. Everything's fine. Like, and I'm thinking like, it's a little boy. Like, he just doesn't know what it is, but it's fine. And she's like, nothing's happening, And I was like, okay, let's try to get some EVPs. So I take out my phone and I start recording. And we get to this line of graves. And there's like 1, 2, 3. And the third one in is a female name. Starts with a J. I think it was like Juliet, Julia, Julie, something like that. So I was like, okay, so like just read the date, read the name, just read the name and just start asking questions. So it's like, were you born here? Did you die here? Are you alone? Like random questions. And then we all kind of get this feeling that something's off. Something, like we all get this chill up our back. And he's like, enough. And I'm like, okay. And Kaylee goes and like looks at me and I was like, what? And she's like, I just feel weird. Like and I'm like, yeah, I do too. So I stopped the recording and he's like, let's go. And I was like, well, hold on, let's see if we got anything. Like, hold on. So I'm playing, the recording and we hear this sort of like, we're talking to the female and we hear this like, over our voices, like, it was something about a color. It was something about a color of like, what was your favorite color pink? Was your favorite color blue? And we hear this like, and she's like, oh my God. And she's freaking out. And I was like, okay, that's it. Let's go home. He's like, let's go. So, we get to the edge of the graveyard and I tell the little boy, like, you have to stay here. You can't come with me. I'm really sorry. Bye. We're walking back and there's a sense of adrenaline because it's like, okay, we caught something. We can clearly hear it. She's all excited because she's like, I think I got a ghost, da-da-da. And Ryan is like, it's like, I don't even know how to explain it. It's like a dog that like knows something is going to happen. Like his fur is up. Like he's just not with it. And I'm like, are you okay? And he's like, yeah, I'm fine. And we get back to my house. And she's like, okay, I want to hear it. Like, let's listen to see if we can hear anything else. Like, okay. So her and I are cuddled up on the couch, got the phone at full volume, and Ryan is like pacing back and forth. And we're asking the questions. How long have you been here? How long did you live here? Did you die here? Was your favorite color pink? Was your favorite color blue? We hear the, this disembodied voice. Nothing very clear. And then we said, are you safe here? Or something about safety. Do you feel safe wherever you are? Are you safe here? And we hear, no. And then we hear a sound that I have never heard in my life, that I hope to never hear again, which is like truly, I don't know how else to explain it except this demonic growl and screech that just started and didn't stop. It was like, we hear her say, no. And she's saying, oh my God, turn off. And he's saying, turn that fucking thing off. And I like stop it and I like throw it on the ground. And I was like, what the fuck was that? And Kaylee is like smiling out of discomfort, but also like fear. Like the tears are in her eyes, but like, what the fuck was that? And Ryan like turns slowly and he's like, I fucking told you. I don't know what the fuck you just did. I'm going home. And he leaves. And Kaylee and I are like, and I was like, it's fine. It's fine. I do this all the time. Everything's fine. She's like, Courtney, I don't know. I don't like that. I don't like that. And she's like, you know, very emotional, like crying, like she's got tears. And she's like, I don't like that. I don't like that. Like, I think you should delete that. I think we should get rid of it. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna. And I just deleted it. Now I kind of regret, also kind of don't. I wanted that energy gone, but I also like wish I had the proof, right? I deleted it. I was like, it's cool. I'm gonna sage. We'll do this, like, we'll clear it out. So I like got the sage and I was like, if anything is in here, get out right now. You know, like doing this like stupid 19-year-old, maybe 18, was I 18? No, I was 19. Like this baby, like, get out of here. If anything's in here, get out of here. And I'm like going around and I'm like shaking and I'm just like trying to be okay for her because I'm not okay. I don't know what that was. I've never had anything like that. I'm just thinking also like fucking cool, right? Cool what I just got. Even though it's dark, I don't know, but it's cool. And I was like, do you want to stay the night? You know? She was like, no, I'm going back to my house. I'm not staying here, you know? So she leaves. My roommate is with his boyfriend at the time. Like they're off at his place. I have the whole house to myself. And I'm like, I don't know about this, you know? And so the next few weeks proceed to be hauntings. We'll just say that. We had a 2-bedroom, my roommate and I would shut the door, get in my bed, and I'd hear doors slamming, doors shutting, walking into the bathroom shut, bathroom open, walk. And I'm thinking, what is he doing? It's, you know, almost 2 a.m. Like, what is he doing? Open the door, he's not even home. No one is there. And I'm like, okay, all right, I'm in over my head here a little bit, but I don't know what to do. So I just say again, I shout, I do the thing of, get out of here. If anything is in here, get out of here right now. Like trying to like stake my claim, but I'm like shaking and horrified, you know? So I get back in bed and things like that persist for about a week. Like footsteps, doors slamming, like when I'm in my own room and I'm hearing these noises. Then the cabinetry starts being open. I'll come out of my room in the morning. Every single cabinet and every single drawer is open in the kitchen. It's a pretty big kitchen, you know, probably like between 12 and 19 drawers and then like, you know, 12 top cabinets and like 8 bottom cabinets. All of them open to like the exact same angle and slant. And I'm thinking like, okay, my roommate, he's a little immature. He's a little forgetful. He grew up very privileged. He didn't clean up after himself. Like he's just rifling through things in the morning and leaving for class. So I like shut all the drawers, I shut all the things, and I'm like, okay, whatever. And then I get home and they're all open again. So I like text him and I'm like, hey, can you stop like leaving everything open? He's like, I literally haven't been home in 3 days. And I'm like, okay, all right, no worries, never mind then. I must have just been forgetful. And so again, that kind of persists over the next, 5 to 8 days of cabinets, doors opening and shutting, footsteps around the house, and just overall sense of unease, being watched, heaviness, dark cloud, and paranoia. Like, what the fuck is in here? And why won't it leave, right? So I start to tell my other friend who does witchcraft at the time, right? And he's like, I'm sure it's fine. Like, we'll figure it out. Like, did you sage? I'm like, yes, I saged. He's like, you're just freaking yourself out. Like, you heard something, it really scared you. You're just freaking yourself out. There's nothing really, going on. Final chapter to this story. It was one morning. I had a very long day at school as a theater major. It was like, literally, I'm going to be there from 8:30 a.m. till midnight, right? It's like class, lunch, class, dinner, fucking tech, and then run the show, and then home at midnight. Like, busy day. So I'm packing. I'm like, got my salami rolls, got all my stuff, got my music playing. I was really obsessed with Billie Holiday at the time, so I've got like my Billie Holiday jazz station playing, and I'm playing, and all of a sudden, I'm I'm making my my food for lunch day. And all of a sudden I hear dong, dong, dong. And I like pick up my phone to hear my radio. And I hear it again. Dong, dong, dong. And I like turn my phone down and I'm like standing there. And we have a piano in our living room. My roommate was a music major. And I hear again, dong, 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 dong. And so I walk over all the way down the long hall and I look. And then, dong, 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 dong. The piano is literally playing. Like, fingers are slamming down on the keys. Boom, 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 boom. And I literally, like, am in, like, boxer shorts and, like a pajama shirt, and I run barefoot out of the house. I ran out of the house. And, like, I had my phone with me, luckily, because I had been listening for the music to Billie Holiday, and then I paused it, and I heard the music as I was walking, you know? So I grabbed my phone, I called my friend who does witchcraft, and I was like, the piano's playing itself, the piano's playing itself, holy shit, the piano's playing itself. And he's like, calm down, what's going on? I'm like, I can't go in my house, like, I can't go in. And, you know, he comes over, and he's like, what happened? And I was like, the piano is playing itself. And he was like, get in the car. I'm like, okay. So we get in his car, we drive straight to this witch shop, and like we explain the situation to like the people who work there, and they're like, all right, take this, take this, take this, take this. They give us like a bunch of stuff. It's like feathers and gems and crystals and herbs and all kinds of stuff, you know. And the whole time my friend is like, we're very close, we've been close for many years, and he's like being very like, you know, like stern, very like upset with me. And I'm like, are you mad at me? And he was like, yes, you fucking played around and found out. This is what happens, you know? And so we get back in the car, we drive back to my house, and he's like, come on. And I was like, no. And he's like, no, you're going to help clean up your mess. Like, come on. And, you know, and I'm like, okay, you know. So we go in, and he's like, just do everything I tell you to do. So we like sage like crazy. He's got these feathers. He's saying all kinds of things, you know, then like in hushed tones. And he's basically just telling me like follow him, just like do everything he's doing. I'm not saying what he's saying, obviously, because I don't know what he's saying, but I'm like praying to Jesus, praying to God, praying to anything that will like clear this out and protect me. And, you know, the house is like, you can't see 5 feet in front of you because it's so smoky after we do like that, and Palo Santo and incense and all kinds of stuff. And there's crystals at every corner of every entry of every room, and the windows and this and that. And it was just a lot of work, basically. We finished, and he was like, okay, bye. And I was like, what? He's like, it's gone. You're fine. You know, so he left. And I'll say, the piano didn't play itself ever again. And the cupboards didn't open and close, and there was no more footsteps and door slamming. But I never felt alone in that house again, even when I was alone. I always felt like there was someone standing right behind me, looking right at me, just like staring at me. So yeah, that's the big bad boy. And now that's why I don't go ghost hunting or try to reach out to anyone at rest or at all ever again. If they want to talk, they can chat to me, but I don't try to chat to them. The end.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I feel like, I don't know, maybe Tammy's just, it's a coincidence, but like it's very weird. But Tammy, one night I was like lying in bed while I was like in the middle of my nursing degree, and do you ever get this overpowering feeling of like, we're all gonna die?
Oh,
one
yeah.
day, all the
Yeah.
time, every day.
Not me.
No, forever. And you're just like lying in bed, you're like, holy shit, I'm going to die one day. I'm going to die one day, and why the hell am I even alive? Because I'm going to die, and like this person sleeping beside me is going to die, and I can't even comprehend that, let alone myself dying. And where do I go when I die? And you're just like, this is, the world's fucked. How dare it? How dare it make me die when I'm alive, you know? It's unfair.
Yeah.
And I said to God, I was like, God, I will believe in you. I will go to church. I will pray. I will do anything. If you could just give me a sign, because I'm so afraid. I'm so afraid of dying, and I don't want to go to the wrong place, to the bad place. So I said, if you could just give me a sign, and no shit, my window like burst open. My bedroom window burst open.
What?
Yeah. And it was like we have these winds in where I'm from in Christchurch called like northwest winds, where the wind is really strong and really warm, and it had been windy all day, and the wind opened my window, and I was like, nice try, God. But I remember like putting the latch on the window. So that's a nice try, but like I don't know, I'm not convinced. And it wasn't because like I was like, no, I'm not prepared to like go to church every Sunday. I was just like, I remember I didn't put the latch on the window properly. So like, give me another sign. So I like got out of bed, closed the window, and like went to bed. And then the next day I like was biking to university or to college, whatever it's Polytech, and I parked my bike and I was locking it. And as I like looked up to see who was parking my bike beside me, it was Tammy. Tammy, the religious girl that like believes in God and demons and the devil. And I was like, Tammy. And she's like, hi. And I'm like, she never bikes. This is the first time I've ever seen her park a bike, because normally like the same people park their bikes every time. And I was like, I have to tell you something that happened last night. And she's like nodding her head, and she's like, yeah, you can tell me later. I have to go to class, but you can tell me later. Like she knew
something had
happened. Unfortunately, I never got to tell Tammy, but I just remember being like, that was definitely like a weird coincidence, or another sign I have refused to like accept, because it's like, of all people to park their bike at the same time on the day she decides to like, and just the way she was like very much aware of what I was referring to,
right?
Although she wasn't there in the middle of the night with me, you know.
So,
not that you know of.
Right.
Not that I know
She
of.
was stalking you. She's the one who pushed the window.
Exactly, not that wind. But yeah, just like weird, spooky coincidences like that have like happened a few times. And I don't know, I kind of refuse to accept them, because I want even more convincing. I want I don't know what I want. It has to slap me in the face, and maybe 5 people in the room have to be like, did you guys see that? You know what I mean?
Right.
I want that amount of like reassurance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't tell me the story though.
Oh.
That's a great story. That's great to have.
Yeah.
There's that joke from Evil, right?
Yep.
It's that joke from Evil.
Do you remember?
A man is running late to a meeting, and he finally gets to the building, and the parking lot is completely full. And he's driving around, and there's no spots, and this meeting is starting in like 1 minute. And he says, God, please, I will stop drinking. I'll stop smoking. I'll stop gambling. I'll stop cheating on my wife. I just need a spot. Just give me one spot, God. Please, I will go to church every day of my life. I'll devote my life to you. I just need this spot. And right in front of him, a car pulls out of the spot and drives away. And then the man says, never mind, I found one.
So true.
Yeah.
We need more.
We do.
We need more.
Absolutely. Not to like completely hog this whole thing, but like I've got another story. My twin sister.
Great. Yeah.
She was hiking with her husband in the bush. We call it the bush, which is like train meet. Well, hiking. We call it tramping in New Zealand.
I like that.
Yeah, tramping.
We got to get that started.
What's the name? Like, Japanese.
We call it tramping
Yeah.
with like, and they were doing, it was a day tramp, which is pretty low key for them.
It means
These
something different here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Day tramp and night tramp.
Yeah.
Night tramp.
Okay, yeah. It wasn't a stay the night. They didn't have to carry anything and like sleep in a hut. So they were just going to go up and down the mountain pretty much. And it was a really, really hot day. And they'd only brought, we use mils in New Zealand, I guess 1 litre. 1 litre? Yeah, 1 litre bottles. They only bought one each for them. So anything they were carrying, they had to bring with them and carry them. So I think they were just like light because it was just a day tramp. Well, about 3/4 of the way up the hill, they drank all their water. And like, unfortunately, it was real dumb of them because they are really good trampers. And they were like, we just didn't plan for how hot it was going to be and how much of an incline it was going to be. So they'd drunken a lot, almost all their water. And they still had to get up to the top, let alone come all the way back down. But normally down's easier than up. Mm-hmm. So they got to the top. And as they were walking down, my sister, Bridget, was like, I started to feel like I am getting really dehydrated by this point. She was aware they needed to get to the car. They had about another like 3.5 hours to go to get to the car. They were like, she was feeling really dumb, embarrassed. Her husband was like, we just got to keep going, we got to keep going. And Bridget was like, I remember like putting one foot in front of the other. That was how I was feeling. And I was starting to get like wobbly, a little bit dizzy. And then just like in about an hour after that, I started to cry because I was like, we are really fucked. We are really fucked. This is like now not safe, and we should have known better. So I think Luke was going to the toilet in the bush, and Bridget, like her sister, started to pray and was like, please God, get us out of here. I hope we're okay. I hope we can get out of here safe. I don't want Luke to carry me. I just want us to walk out of here safe. We are so thirsty. Could you help us in any way? And no shit, she looked to her right, and there was a gigantic 1.5 litre, what's called like, pump. It's a water bottle brand of water. Like,
it was just sitting there on the ground?
Sitting there on the ground. And Bridget was like, I just didn't think anything of it. I just grabbed it and chugged it back. And I was like, well, firstly, I mean, who knows what was in it, but like,
right.
Yeah. And then Luke was like, where'd you find that? And she's like, it was just sitting there. And he like drunk it back. And I was thinking, well, the poor person that's what I did to put it down
there for themselves.
and then they've drunken it. But yeah, crazy that like she just prayed for like this bottle of water and it was right there, and she thinks she wasn't going to, if the water wasn't there, I think she still thought she was going to get out. Mm-hmm. But like it was more she was just really scared and embarrassed. Yeah. But the fact that she had the water there, like it was going to be okay.
Please welcome my friend Spencer.
But like I think we've talked about this, that like my mom is an evangelical and she like doesn't believe in witchcraft or like anything like that, but she does believe in like angels and demons.
Interesting, yeah.
And I think I've told you this. I don't know if you'll remember, but I think my mom is one of the like seeing women, the seer type woman.
No, you haven't
because
told me about
she's
that.
the youngest daughter of a youngest daughter. And I am the youngest son of a youngest daughter, and I was supposed to be a girl.
Oh.
And I kind of think I kind of inherited my mom's, because like I also, like you also know that in like when I'm kind of in a situation where I'm really comfortable and really kind of like my mask is off, I tend to be kind of effeminate.
Yeah, that's interesting. You point that out, yeah.
And like that's like, to me, that's my true nature.
Yeah.
And I like my mom she wouldn't drive down certain roads in
Yes.
Klamath Falls because she goes, there's just like, she'll look in the rearview mirror and she said that she'd just see like a dark spot, like that no light was entering or coming from.
Whoa.
And-
oh, I'm getting chills. That's very cool.
Yeah. And like, I think of kind of like my shivers as similar to that type of feeling.
Yes, and another thing that you very clearly have to me, which I personally think is like a woo-woo very good trait, is that, you know, other people might not think it is, but that's part of why I got along with you so quickly, is that you can read someone up and down and make a decision about them upon the first 8 seconds of knowing them.
Yeah.
To be like, okay, great, this is
My
going to work
first
or it's not,
reaction
you know?
to somebody is rarely wrong. And
Yes.
it might be a slow burn and it might take a couple of years for other people to like, but people will be like, Spencer, why are you being such an asshole to this person? And I just go, fuck that person. And they're just like, no, this person's great. And then like 3 years later, I'm like, hey, whatever happened to this person? They're like, oh yeah, that person was terrible. And I was like,
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And I'm the same. And that's why literally I think I remember the first time I ever saw you in the SOU, like that little like weird area between all the theaters and that back. I don't remember what was that called, like the green room, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? So this guy's got something going on. Like, what is this? And then I was like, oh, he's just like very much himself.
Little did you know.
I know, but I remember like you were very decisive and you were very like quick to, you know, judge in a way that I also do. You know, it's like, oh yeah, I know this is great, but this person's great. This person is good people, or like, oh no, fuck that person. And it's like, what are you talking about? It's like, I don't know, just trust me. It's not good, and it always panned out.
I just, and I think I've told you before that I've had an experience that the only kind of ghost experience that I've had was when I was like 13 years old. It was a Boy Scout Halloween event that we were touring the Baldwin Hotel, which is one of the most haunted locations in Oregon in Klamath Falls. And we were on this tour, and we were going in the bottom floor of this house, and we were going next to the coal storage room. And they said that there was, the door was completely open. It was ajar. It was swung inside. There's no way for me to get like caught on anything. But we were told a story about like a kid who fell down the coal chute. And then they didn't know he was down there, and like he got crushed by coal. A load of coal going down. And when I walked by the door, I looked in the room, and like something shoved me hard in the chest, like on my side. And it was kind of like, but it wasn't necessarily in a like mean way, but in a kind of like, haha, I got you kind of way.
Yeah.
And I didn't see anything, but I definitely felt this thing. And like, that has remained with me since I was like 13 years old. I am a conscientious believer.
I like that.
I'm a believer, but I am also like skeptical, but not skeptical of the existence, but skeptical of the experience.
This last year, there was an episode of Ghost Adventures that they filmed in my hometown at LA County Prison, which my father, my whole life, worked basically on that land. He didn't work at the prison, but they're right next to it. There's a hospital, very old, and that haunted as fuck. My dad has so many stories. And the prison also is alleged to be haunted. And so last year my dad was like, hey, there's going to be a Ghost Adventures episode tonight at the prison. And I was like, oh my God, wait, this is so exciting, because I grew up hearing stories about everything that's happened. It was such a bad episode. They didn't cover anything. I was like, I could have made this gold for you, because I have so many stories that I know. And literally all you did was come in and like yell.
Wait,
like,
can you tell them? Do you know one?
Yeah, they're my dad, so they're secondhand.
All
but
right, we'll take it.
my dad and my aunt both worked there. My dad just retired this year. but like my whole life, 30, less than 30 years. They worked at a hospital, like an old county hospital that was previously used like a ward for during tuberculosis ward, like during a war. It was also like they would land aircrafts there. Like it was used during some war. So it was very old, and then it got turned into a hospital. And my dad worked there, like fixing a lot of the computers and stuff. That was sort of his job, and my aunt worked there as well. And there were a lot of stories of, there's so many stories, I don't even know where to begin, but like my dad would go in, and sometimes he would go in like on the weekends for overtime or after hours. And so, you know, there wouldn't be anyone there. And he talks about one time sitting in his like cubicle and hearing like walking back and forth on the roof. And he's like, some like maintenance guys here. And it was just like, it was just constant. And so he's getting ready to leave, and he's hearing it, and he leaves, and there's no one else there. There's no one in the parking lot. There's no one on the roof. Another time, there was a nurse that was working there. Again, it was like after hours, and I think her sister and her daughter came to visit her and just like hang out in her cubicle while she worked. And so they're sitting there, and they see someone walk by sort of like with a hood, and they're like, "Hi, how's it going?" And they like turn their head and sort of like keep walking. And the woman was like, "Okay, hi," like that was rude. And they're sitting there talking for a while, and they realize like they never see this person come back. So they're like, that was weird. Like, they've been in the bathroom for a long time. And they like go and check, and no one's in the bathroom. And then they realize like, I don't remember seeing a face. Like I only remember seeing, like, obviously it turned to look, but they were like, I don't remember seeing what this, yeah. And so like her sister and her daughter were like, fuck that, I'm never coming to visit you again.
So like they all saw it?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, there were 3 people there. There was a pregnant nurse that was there doing some like extra filing, and again she was pregnant, and so she was pushing this sort of like cart that had a lot of like files in it, and she pushes it into this room and like looks away and looks back, and there's a little kid poking his head around, and she was like, oh my god, I'm done. And that used to be, I think, like the children's tuberculosis ward, like the room that she was in. Yeah. There was also like my aunt and my dad would say they would hear like knocking, like 1, 2, 3, and like no, again, like not. It's not like, number one, not a lot of people worked there anyway. Like it was a big building, but they had other like buildings that people would go work in. So this particular one, it was like, it's not like it was like filled with workers. The biggest story of this is that my dad left something at work, and on his way home from a rehearsal with my baby brother from a show, he's like, I have to swing by work and like pick up something that I forgot. And the way he tells it is like they were on their way back from the theater, like having like a tech rehearsal, and my brother at the time was like telling my dad he was scared of the theater ghost Viola. It's our hometown theater. And my dad was like, she was a really nice woman. I actually knew her. She was an usher, and she passed out she fell into the pit and passed away. Like, it is a true story, but like if she is even around, like, think of her as an angel. She loved the theater. She's there, you know. So he's telling my brother this, right? But they pull up, and it's like nighttime. No one's there. And my dad's like, all right, Jace, I have to run in. It's right there. I'll wave at you from the window. I have to run and pick it up. I'll come back out. So he goes in, turns the lights on. You know, he's like, hello, anybody here? All right. Gets the thing he needs, turns off the lights, locks up, goes back to the car, opens the door, sets it in. He goes, see, Jace, nothing to worry about. And he looks back and the light's on.
And he's like, okay. And so he goes back in. Hello? No one's there. Turns off the light, locks up, and he's like, yeah, let's go. Let's go home. All right, enough of this. Yeah.
Hi, this is Brian O'Connor.
And I'm Michael Duran.
Horror fans, it's time to get your fix with Opening Kill, the new podcast where we dissect everything terrifying in the world of horror.
From the latest movie news to an in-depth look at a feature film and a peek at chilling horrors to come, we've got you covered.
Whether it's gore, suspense, or supernatural thrills, Opening Kill is the ultimate horror deep dive.
Listen to Opening Kill on your favorite podcast platform every other Thursday, if you dare.
Please welcome Brian O'Connor from the Opening Kill podcast.
So as far as the paranormal, I do believe I have experienced too many things in my life not to. I have some fun theater stories and some other stories as well, but it's always been there. I think the veil between our world and that world is very thin. And that was another reason why when I heard about this podcast, I really wanted to check it out because that's something that, again, it's been a part of my life, forever. So, yeah.
That's so great. Yeah, I know we very briefly chatted on our first meeting about some of your experiences, but I think there was a couple, I might be mistaken about a house you grew up in, or would you mind telling us sort of your first, thing you witnessed?
Sure. So I'm from Southern Oregon, the Rogue Valley, live in a small town called Talent. There's two towns. There's Phoenix and Talent, and then there's the bigger towns of Ashland and Medford. And we lived in Phoenix when I was a kid in this 2-story salmon pink old house. And I was probably 9-10 years old, and it was kind of a creepy house, but it was a cool house. And there were just a lot of things that happened. I shared an upstairs loft with one of my sisters, and 2 separate rooms, but there was kind of like a little hallway without a door in between the 2 rooms. And a lot of things that happened in this house, I didn't really know what it was. And my mom and dad really didn't tell me because I was so young, and I don't think they wanted to scare me. It wasn't until later that I got, the full story. But my sister definitely experienced a lot of things on her side where objects would move, and they would she would put them somewhere. She would come home from school and they would be somewhere completely different in the room, or they'd be just barely hanging off of a desk or something like that. So, her first instinct was to go, okay, Mom, stay out of my room. Don't, and my mom was like, I don't go upstairs because it's too creepy and there's something going on and I don't want to go up there. So it kept happening. Noises. I heard footsteps because there was an attic that was on the other side of our wall, and there were some strange sounds that would happen. Oh. And there was one night that there was a mist that came into my sister's room, and she saw it just kind of hovering there. Even when she turned the light on, it was still there, and then it just kind of dissipated.
Oh my god.
Which was I'm getting goosebumps talking about that. A more somber note, my sister was 18 when she got engaged after high school, and her fiance's foster brother murdered him, which was horrific.
Oh no.
Oh my god.
She woke up one night to the smell of her fiance's cologne. It was overpowering. It was in the room with her, and it woke her up. And even when she was still awake, she could still smell this cologne. And there were other things similar to that happened to her.
Wow.
While we were in that house. And there were other things my mom told me about later, just things that she had seen similar to that, but I didn't find out till I was a little bit older. They didn't want to totally freak out the 9-year-old with everything going on. But we talked, and it really made sense because I had heard these sounds and seen a few things. Didn't really make me wonder. I was pretty naive as a kid. I didn't, really know what that was. But then it was like, oh, well, that explains that, doesn't it? And, my parents laughed about it. And but my sister and I were just talking about that over Thanksgiving, about some of the things that happened in that house. And It was a cool house. And there were other houses like that on the block. I don't think we were the only one that had things happen.
Something like that happened. It's so funny, right? When you said salmon pink, and I immediately thought of the Coraline house too, especially because I know it's based in the Rogue Valley, and I was like,
that's That's great. Yeah. So it was a fun house. But yeah, there were definitely some things there that just made you go, okay.
Yeah.
And then, we ended up moving out, and I never lived in a house quite like that. I mean, there's been some other things, but that was definitely like the biggest experience I've had with a paranormal at that level.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's such a young age as well.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Can I ask, was your family like religious at all growing up?
Actually, yes.
Okay.
And still have faith today.
Sure.
And now here's another story. I will share this with you. And this is the story I kind of alluded to when we were emailing.
Oh, that's right.
I don't tell this one too often. I didn't, because it's one of those stories that is totally unbelievable, and people would just look at me. And, I think with all of us, once you get to a certain age, you just really don't care about what people think anymore. Kind of like, I think, why you started your podcast.
Right.
Just, you're going to come out and tell everybody. So this experience is true. It actually happened. I was probably 5 years old. And speaking of church, my mom was in our church choir. This is when we lived over on the Oregon coast in an even smaller town. And she was in the choir. And she went to choir practice every week or 2 weeks or whatever it was. I never went because as a kid, I was super busy. I was all over the place. I was not shy, which I don't know how it explains how I turned out, because now I'm an introvert for the most part. But no, I was always very talkative, very friendly, and always running around and very busy. So she just didn't take me to choir practice. She did on this one particular evening. And so we went to the church. And when you walk into the church, as soon as you walk through the front door, you could go left and go up the stairs into the sanctuary, or you could go straight, and there was stairs that went down into this basement area. The basement area was a room where every Sunday morning, kids of all ages would come, and our Sunday school teacher, who was my grandmother, she would be there. And it was kind of like, okay, here we all are. Here's some announcements. Let's sing some songs. And then that went on for maybe 10 or 15 minutes, and then we would break up and go to our different Sunday school classes. So also in this basement, off to one side was the kitchen for like potlucks and things, and in the very back was the nursery. So I decided, after being there for I don't remember how long, but it wasn't long, I was bored. I decided to go exploring, as I often did. So I went downstairs to that basement, which I'd been to a million times, but never by myself. This is in the evening, and there were windows in it. They were at the very top of the wall, just below the ceiling. And so they were ground level because it was the basement. So if you looked out, you're seeing basically the lawn and everything right there. And it was getting dark, and I kind of wandered around down there a little bit. And that's when I started to get a little spooked, because I'm by myself. And so normally what a person would do was just turn around and go back upstairs. I decided instead to head for the nursery instead. And I got in there, opened the door, and I'm pretty terrified at this point. But as soon as I opened the door, this is where it gets a little strange, because all of the furniture that should have been in there was a rocking chair, a playpen, a toy box, bookshelves. All of those things were gone. It was very, very bright. It was all just golden light in this room with a bright white light coming through those upper windows. And in a rocking chair, sitting in the corner, was a man in a white robe with tight, blonde, curly hair. And I'll never forget this. This image is still so sharp in my mind. And this happened decades ago. And he smiled at me and he said, "You don't have to be afraid." And I walked over to him, and all of a sudden that fear that I had just melted away. And I sat on his lap and he said, "Don't be afraid, you're fine." And I'm sitting there, and I wasn't there very long. And then my mom by that time had realized I had disappeared. So she came down looking for me, and she called my name. And so I got up, got down, and ran back out into the main basement area. And she asked where I'd gone, what was I doing? And I said, I was talking to the man in the nursery. She said, "What man?" And so we went back into the nursery, and it was all put back exactly the way it should have been. All the furniture was there. It was getting dark, and there was no man sitting in that chair. It had just completely transformed back to the way it should have been. And it's a story that, again, it is true. I've carried these images with me my whole life. My mom knew I wasn't making it up because the way I described it to her, it was so specific. And it's always been that way. I can see everything just like it was. And I get chills talking about it. And so you can imagine the reaction I get from most people. It's like, okay, yeah, you're a storyteller. That's great. But what really happened?
No, that's incredible.
That's what really happened. So call it an angel, call it some kind of an apparition that had form. I don't know, but it was there and that happened. And it just, I just remember feeling so at peace while I was in there. And I wasn't afraid anymore.
Thank you again to Brian from the Opening Kill podcast. A reminder, if you're a fan of horror, check out the Opening Kill podcast. Please welcome a family friend.
So wait, what happened in New Zealand?
Oh, well,
there's two.
Our daughter lives in New Zealand, and we're real good friends with her in-laws. And so they had
9.5 months old.
Her in-laws had bought this old house, and so we went and stayed with them, and we stayed in this front bedroom, and we'd been shopping and stuff, and so we were sleeping, and all of a sudden I heard like bags opening, like the bags I had stuff, and I thought, oh, maybe it's mice, because it was an old house. So I stopped, but it didn't make any other noise, and it looked like I thought my bag was moving a bit, so I thought it was a mouse or something in it.
Like your luggage?
No, it was just a grocery bag, because we'd been shopping.
Right.
Oh, yeah. So anyway, so then it stopped moving, and all of a sudden I saw this lady just hanging there, just looking there. I wasn't afraid of her.
Oh wow!
It didn't freak me out or anything. I just go, it didn't make sense. Right. Why is this happening like this? And then she just disappeared.
Wow.
So that morning when we went to breakfast, I said to them, is there any kind of story behind this old house? And she goes, well, actually, yes. She goes, there's a story that this lady who used to live there, she goes, in fact, it was in the bedroom you guys stayed in. She goes, she had a baby and the baby died. And so they said she just stays in that room. And she said, they go, we've never seen her, so we don't even know if it's a true story.
Right.
But she goes, she'll just stay in that room. And she goes, because, she's always looking for her baby or really sad.
Yeah.
And so I was going, oh my gosh. I said, I saw her last night. I saw her. And they go, really?
Yeah.
And they go, it's true? I go, yeah, because I would not have made that,
That's crazy.
That kind of gave
us
us
her full
I
out
did.
Like that, yeah.
I mean, and it was just like she was just a figure.
Right.
And you can't explain really what she looked like.
Yeah.
If she had a body or anything.
Yeah.
So that was crazy.
That's a great one.
Yeah.
I love it when they can validate like the space right away of like, oh yes, there's a tale of this.
Yeah, that's what she said, because I thought, well, who knows, traveling and everything. But she said, oh yeah,
Wow.
we heard the story, but we've never seen her.
Oh wow, that's
So
great.
that was kind of cool.
Thanks so much for listening. Remember, you are not alone if you've ever heard a bump in the night or caught something out of the corner of your eye. There are countless others who experience things they can't explain. And this podcast is your safe place to listen and share. Also, I want to remind everyone that this show is for entertainment purposes. I am not a professional paranormal investigator. I did not go to school to study this. I can only speak about my first-hand experiences. And with that, I'd love to mark the importance of spiritual inclusion. Your thoughts, ideas, and theories about the other side are welcome. And we know that so much of our common knowledge and perception about the paranormal stems from historical and cultural experiences. So we are open to your knowledge and understanding of things that we may be ignorant about or not fully understand. Let's learn and grow together. Stay spooky, and we'll see you next time. Hey, ghoul friends! Got a spooky story to share? Well, I want to hear about your haunts. Whether you've seen a ghost or something unexplainable, send your supernatural experiences to us at jauntyhaunts@gmail.com. That's JAUNTYHAUNTS@gmail.com. Or DM us on Instagram at jauntyhaunts.pod. That's jauntyhaunts.pod. You can also find us on TikTok and YouTube under Jaunty Haunts Podcast. I want to hear from you.
Magic is real. In 1930 San Francisco, a supernatural world exists, hidden within the mundane. Meet Norman P. Blank.
Hello.
As mundane as they get.
I'm a lawyer.
Quiet, you. Through a twist of fate, Norman is hurled headfirst into a world of magic, wonder, and danger. Will he survive? Probably not.
What?
I said quiet. Roll the tape.
You can't be pixies. They're not real.
Is this real?
I was just mugged by pixies.
It's Machina. David X Machina.
I am Lady Blackfreeze.
A pleasure to meet you, Mr. Blank. I'm the Lord of Ash and Shadow.
You ever wonder why egg salad is so stinky?
No, not
It's
really.
pixie farts. That's why.
Damn this drink well! That'll teach you to be dirty.
A floating skull is talking to me.
Just remember he's a friendly floating skull.
Even though the city is filled with magical creatures, they are absolute crap when it comes to paperwork. That's where I can help.
Join us if you dare for a peek into the occult adventures of Norman P. Blank.